big guys, like in sparring, they always go stupidly hard, and I'm like, oh, here we go again. Training, like fighting, it's the only thing that makes us happy in life.
What you're doing in the cage and pursuing this journey, do you feel like it's a search for significance as well?
Do you know what it is? I've got goals in life, and they're like, right, they're totally different to everybody else, and I'm not having people like keep me down here when I want to be up there. Do you know what I mean? I want to try and make a run for the UFC and see how far I can get. It does annoy us sometimes, and like it's like everyone kind of thinks that like I've only got to where I am because of my dad. Yes, it's helped, but I think they need to realise like I'm the one doing all the hard work. Like I am the one getting in there and doing it.
If you got a fight with an influencer, for instance, would you feel inclined to go easy on them?
No.
Oh, however.
If I got a phone call right now, I would accept it on this podcast saying like, yes, I will fight her, like at any time. I can't stand
Well, let's
her.
see if we can make it happen. So today we are joined by Kennedy Freeman. Now I put something on my Instagram story saying, who shall I get in the podcast next? And everyone said yeah. So first and foremost, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm alright, yeah. Thanks very much for having us. I appreciate it.
No worries at all. Now, obviously for people who don't know you, you're a pro MMA fighter. You signed to Cage Warriors, aren't you?
Yeah, Cage Warriors.
Your record is 5-0 with 2 knockouts.
Yep.
Now, you're the second female I've actually had on the podcast, or third. The first was a boxer. And obviously I was really interested to get an MMA fighter on there as well. Now, I don't know many female MMA fighters. And I think that's particularly interesting because I want to know exactly how a lass like yourself got into the position that you're in now. So what was your upbringing like?
Yeah, obviously, like, my dad was an MMA fighter. Everyone knows my dad, Ian Freeman, was in the UFC. But, like, just growing up, like, as a kid, I wasn't too interested in it, you know, like, especially women's MMA, like, wasn't a thing at the time. I was more into, like, football and everything. And then as I got a bit older, I think I was about 14, it was my younger cousin who started kickboxing, like above waist point style kickboxing. And I went and watched him, and I realised like there was girls there fighting and stuff, and I was like, well, I want to do this, like this is something I want to do. And I didn't fight for like my dad until I was about, I'd say maybe 17, 18 years old. And then like my dad had his own gym, and I started competing for him and stuff like that. And then I had a few kickboxing fights, won a lot of competitions and stuff, and then at like 18 I started MMA. So
what were you like in school? Did you scrap much in that?
Nah, I'm quite quiet. I'm outside of the cage. I'm dead chilled. I'm very quiet. I'm like, I'm not like how I am in the cage. It's like two totally different people. So in school I was just like, I was into sports and everything, but I was still quite quiet. Like I didn't really want to fight. What I was doing separately, like martial arts, was totally different to like my outside of school life. I was quite intelligent, believe it or not. I was in like top set for everything. So
See, because I think that, well, a lot of fighters are as well. And I think there's definitely something to say about that because you've definitely got to be talented in the mind to be a fighter as well as creative as out, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's harder than people think. Like especially jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. Like you've got to have some sort of intelligence to be able to do that because it is hard. Yeah.
What do you prefer out of all the different disciplines in MMA?
Obviously when I fight, it's striking. Like I love striking. I love having a scrap. Like if someone would stand in front of me and just like go hell for leather and punch shit out of each other, like that's my idea of fun. I just love it. But to train now, probably it's like wrestling. I think I've learned everything I can learn in like stand up and stuff. It's a little bit boring for us now, like learning new stuff. There's not much to learn, so but the wrestling side of things and stuff, like I love it. Like it's a whole different sport, and it's class.
It's mad to say that you'd love to just like stand up with someone and have a scrap because obviously you being younger, you weren't really into all that before you started doing them comps and stuff.
Yeah.
So how has that changed for you? Like how are you now a woman who wants to have a good scrap with someone? Because surely that must have always been in you. Like
it sounds mad when you put it like that. Like I don't know, I think because I've now learned the skill, like when I was younger, I mean, I'd done bits and bobs with my dad, like, over the years, but, like, kids competing and stuff, it wasn't a thing back then when I was younger. We're talking, like, 20 years ago, like, it just wasn't a thing. The sport wasn't as big. So I think now that I've, like, learned the skill and, like, the more fights I have, the more confident I get in my stand-up ability. So, like, for me, that's the ultimate test. Like having someone in front of us that's like, okay, come on then, let's put it to the test. Let's see who's going to win out. Me and you will just stand in front of each other. We'll have a scrap. Like that to me is like, I just love it. It's like a proper thrill.
It's mental hearing that, you know. Did you feel the pressure off your dad when you were younger? Because obviously was he the first UFC
first
fighter
British
out there?
man in the UFC, yeah.
That's unbelievable. Did you feel that pressure?
Like pressure from him himself?
Aye.
Nah. My dad's never pressured us into anything. Like I say, I didn't even compete in. When I first did compete, it wasn't under him. It was like from a different gym. It was like just an above waist kickboxing gym, just a small gym. And I competed there, and I didn't even let him come to like my first 3 or 4 fights. That was mainly because of of myself, like having to live up to his name. But like my dad's never put pressure on us. If I wanted to compete, he would let us. If I didn't want to compete, he would just say, that's absolutely fine. Whatever you want to do makes you happy. That's fine. Like I had 5 years off not that long ago, and when I told my dad that I was retiring and that I was done, he was like, if that's what you want to do, like I can't force you in anything. Like whatever you want to do with your life, I'm happy for you.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel like the crowd kind of have got you back? Because I know obviously if you're fighting up here, it's like home crowd gear, like everyone loves you, don't they? How does that feel truly when you're fighting?
Especially like now going to Cage Warriors with it being like the bigger crowd and stuff, like I've gained a lot more fans, a lot more support and everything, and like you feel like you've got the whole of the Northeast behind you when you fight. Like it does give you a massive buzz. Like you could be behind that curtain like thinking, why am I doing this again? And then as soon as you walk out and the crowd go crazy, you think, yeah, that's why. Like that noise, that's why I do it.
Do you think it almost gets to the point where it's more than fighting when you're getting back like that? Because I'm actually a videographer for Josh Kelly.
Right.
So I do all of his content for his fights and stuff, and I spend a lot of time with him when he's fighting, and it's like you kind of go through everything from obviously building up to the fight and all the rest of it, and then once you feel the support that he's got in the Northeast, it's like, even for me, just having a camera with him, being there, it's almost like, come on, you just feel it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does it feel different if you're fighting elsewhere?
Yeah, like obviously my last 2 big fights have been in Newcastle. Like Cage Warriors obviously keep us for Newcastle because it's the biggest crowd, but like, I mean, there's nothing worse than fighting out the area and having nobody there. But I've been quite lucky from like a young age. I've had like a massive support system. Like even when I've fought away, like I've had bus loads of people coming down to support us. So I've never really felt that like other side of like nobody being there, not having the support. But fighting in Newcastle, like with the crowd, yeah, it does kind of feel like you're doing it for everybody. And then you get people comment on your social media, like, you know, doing the Northeast proud and stuff like that. And like the one thing for me that always gives us a little bit of butterflies, and it's mad, I don't know why it does, but like when I'm getting announced, when I'm in the cage and I'm getting announced just before the fight, they're like, say, fighting out of Stanley. And like Stanley's just such a little town, and just to hear it, it's like crazy. It always gives us a little butterflies, and I think like I'm going to have to do it for all the people from Stanley, from where I'm from, just to prove that like anybody can do it. It doesn't matter where you're from. Like you are what you make of yourself. So like I always get that little like giddy feeling when I hear it, when I'm like waiting to fight.
The thing is, it's not even just Stanley, is it? It's like for the whole of the Northeast, because I feel like the Northeast definitely is a hotbed of talent. There's absolutely loads of fighters from up here, and they're all unbelievable. Like I didn't really know many fighters who didn't do much up here. And I feel like whether it's just the breed of people up here is different. Do you feel that there's more of a fighting hunger up here to succeed as well, not just in the cage?
Yeah, I feel like we might not have the best talented fighters about, like we have got some amazing talent, but like, you know, normally like the Americans, the Brazilians and all them, like the Russians, they're all like the ones who've been doing it from like literally like preschool, like they've all been doing it all their lives. But like we need to do it to make a living. Like there's not much going on around here, so we need to fight to make a living, and the only way we can do that is getting right at the top. So we might not be the most skilled, but like us Northerners, like we're like a scrap and we're going to put everything into it. So
The day like a terrible. What was, you know, when you were at school, were you, or sort of leaving school, well, whatever era you get into this, but did you go through the stage of like drinking in parks and all that, and or were you just more like, because did you have this sort of mindset of I want to do something, whether it was, you know, any kind of combat sport or something like that? Was that in your eye line, and was it a case of just, were you just dicking around like other kids? What's happening, guys? I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you are, please hit that like, hit the subscribe button, and press the notification bell so you don't miss another episode.
I did bits and bobs. My mum and dad's going to watch this and know I was drinking in the park, so this is great. I was like, yeah, I did like little bits of stuff like that when I was a kid, but obviously I only got into it at 14, so I was pretty strict on myself. Like I spent most of my like on the night times I was in the gym training and whatever. And then when I got like maybe 18, 19, that's when I started to get like me feel for partying and stuff, and I'd done quite a lot in Ibiza and everything like that. But I'd do it like similar to how I do it now. I'd like be so strict and on myself for months and have a couple of fights and then have like a little break off and then go back and do it again and then have a little break off. So like it wasn't like every weekend, you know what, like what everybody else does. I'd feel like I had to reward myself before I could do something like that. Like I'd have to have a fight and then reward myself after.
I think that's a really good mindset to have, because even with what I do with my business, I always feel like I've got to work tirelessly almost to a point where I'm burning out before I can actually have a break. I feel like I've got to deserve the break, you know what I mean? It's weird,
definitely.
isn't it? Did you notice your friends change around you or out like that when you were younger?
More so now, like recently.
Right.
I kind of had the same bunch of friends growing up through school and stuff, and like for me, first bit of adulthood. But then I don't like really drink or party now. You might catch us like once or twice a year drinking and partying. I train all the time, I eat healthy and everything. So like, yeah, the last few years, I'd say maybe it's like 24, 25, I've changed, got a total different friendship group. Because you quickly realise if you don't go out drinking and partying and whatever, then people don't bother with you. So yeah, I don't hang around with any people that I used to, probably as grown up. I've got a very few friends, very small circle, but like the friends I've got now, I know like they've got me back through everything, like, and they help us more than anything through fight camp. They're not just there just on fight day. Like my friends are a massive support system.
It's unbelievable. Did you feel hurt by that? You know, when your friends were kind of drifting off on only wanting to be there if you were having a drink or going out or something like that. Did you feel that way then, or was it more of a case of this is my mission, this is what I want to do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I think at first it's a bit, you're like, such and such hasn't bothered with us and this one hasn't bothered with us, but do you know what it is? I've got goals in life and they're like, right, they're totally different to everybody else, and unfortunately you kind of bring everybody up with you, and if that's what they want to do, going out drinking and partying all the time, and that's just not what I want to do, then yeah, we've got to go separate ways. Like I'm not having people like keep me down here when I want to be up there, do you know what I mean? So like the friends I've got now, they want to be up there with us, so perfect, really.
So they're a completely different group altogether now?
Yeah, totally different.
How old are you, if you didn't mind us asking?
27.
27.
Yeah.
So do you have a kind of, I know obviously there's loads of things you want to achieve, but do you have kind of an exit strategy in your head where you think, I wouldn't mind getting out of this sport at this age?
Not really. Like I think now's my last, like obviously I've had 5 years out, I had a little break, so like now this is my last run at it. Like I'm going for it now, and this is my last run, so as far as this takes is as far as I'm going to go. If I start getting on a 3-4 fight losing streak, I'll probably realise like this is my time to just step back and like let the next generation go through. I've had me run at it, I'll be a bit older then. Like I don't have kids, like I haven't had a family yet, so that's something that'll play a part in it as well. But from now and onwards, I'm going to just try and go as far as I can and get to the top. I mean, like, I'd like to be classing me being in my prime at like early 30s, so in my head...
How far's the top for you though?
UFC, top of the top. I want to be like... I want to try and make a run for the UFC and see how far I can get.
Do you know when you're in that game, obviously even with like Cage Warriors and that, how much more do you feel like the UFC is possible now to what you once did? Or does it still feel like it's not within reaching distance yet?
Nah, it's in reaching distance, definitely. Yeah, it's definitely in reaching distance. Like, I have had a few phone calls and stuff and things put to us since my last fight. But the thing with me is, like, I don't want to go beyond me means. Like, I've had big offers come since, like, my 2 fights in Cage Warriors. But, like, I've personally knocked them back. Like, I've turned them down. And that's no other thing other than just, like, I just want to do it in my time. Like, I've only had 2 fights back. And I think because I got 2 knockouts, everybody's like, oh, UFC, this. But, like, I've literally had 2 fights back. Like, I just want to take my time. Like, I'm very self-aware of, like, my own... like how much I'm progressing, and at the minute I personally don't think I'm ready, so I just want a few more fights. I want to progress more, because like I say, this is my last run at it, and I don't want to be making like mistakes inside the UFC and places like that. Like I want to be 100% ready to go there and then try and smash everybody that they put in front of us.
That's unbelievable, that, because it kind of shows that self-awareness, like where you're at in your own mindset, because most people would just want the UFC now, but to know that you feel like you're not ready and you've got a lot of potential to fill before you're on the main stage, that's quite nice. Like, where do you think you got that mindset from?
I don't know, I'm probably, like, to be honest, I'm quite like I don't have the most self-confidence in myself. Like, I'm not a very confident person. Like, everyone will probably watch us in the cage and be like I walk out, Like, I've got the Makina music blasting, I'm giving it all this, I'm dancing, I'm loving life, and I fight, and I love a scrap. But outside the cage, I'm totally different. I'm dead quiet. I'm quite a self-conscious person. I'm not dead loud and outgoing. Around my friends, I might be, but people who I don't know, I'm quite a quiet person, a little bit self-conscious. So I think that's me just looking at myself, looking at my flaws, and just being a bit realistic. Just knowing that when I do it, I want it to be right. I don't want to make any mistakes or anything like that. Sometimes I probably do need a bit of a kick to be like, come on, Kennedy, you're getting on now, take this chance. But I think I'll know when I'm ready. I think I will know when I'm ready, and when I feel ready. With each fight, my confidence is growing.
Well, you're only 27. You've definitely still got quite a few years left. So take your time and just make sure it's right. Do you know what I mean? For you, ultimately as well, you've got to protect yourself as well. If you sort of jump the gun and something, you get injured in such a way, you want to have a family, you want to have kids, so why try and jump them hurdles now? I believe it's going to come to you. Yeah. I mean, the scraps I've seen you in, I'm thinking, well, I wouldn't like being there with her. Do you know what I mean? But then that is what when you see your progression and where you've come from, and again, obviously I'm going to have a bias because I'm from up here. So anyone who's from up here, I'm going to back them. I'm all about that, me. And I think that's to see someone like you, I feel like there should be more females who, it can be men as well, of course, but because you're a female, I feel like there should be more females who take advice for that, because even if you don't want to have, your aspirations not to get into Cage Warriors or the UFC or even have a scrap, by getting in the gym and doing something can keep you out of that shit.
Yeah, 100%.
By being on them streets, do you know what I mean? How much of that was that for you? Did you do this to channel something, or was it a case of, if I'm going to do this, I want to go all the way?
Yeah, it was that, it's hard to say because I've been in it for so long, from being 14, being competing. It was kind of all I knew, but it got to the point where it was just I was just fighting and competing and whatever, and I just was kind of well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And then after so long, I quit and retired. And then after me 5 years out, it's now that I've realised I don't like that life of not fighting, just being your normal person, just existing for what our class is existing, no, totally. Going to work, just eating out all the time, doing this, doing that, just having a normal life. That's when I realised no, I need to get back to fighting, because that's what I want to do, and it is now or never. I keep saying it, but it is now or never for me. This is my last chance, and I've realised what my goals are and where I want to be. So this time around, I'm a lot more serious. Back then, I was only 21. I was dead young. To me, it was just well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, but now I'm no, it's got to happen.
What were you doing when you retired?
Absolutely nothing.
Were you working or out?
I was working.
What were you doing?
I was working. I'm a beautician, so I do lashes and stuff. I'm self-employed. Obviously, I run the gym. I run fight shows and stuff like that. So I was still doing all of that, but COVID was there. I'd had a surgery on my hip and everything, and I don't know, I had negative people around us. I was in a bad relationship at the time, where I was getting dragged down all the time, getting told that it was just a goal that was stupid in my own head, and I wasn't ever going to reach it. And I eventually kind of let them, because I was a bit self-conscious myself anyway and didn't have much confidence, I let that get to my head, and I just was do you know what it is? I'm not going to make it to the top, so why even try? And I just quit. And
That's mad, that.
I know, looking
back
at
your ability to think that you let them people or them demons creep in.
I know.
Do you know what's mad? Here's a little quote for you, right? You might like this. Well, I didn't have a proper quote, but I'm paraphrasing here, right? But it's only a real dream when people think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Because even my journey's been all over the place, and I've worked at Nissan and did all these jobs, and then I've also travelled around the world creating content for some of the biggest brands and profiles I've ever. I used to literally use half of these people I work with now. I used to watch on YouTube when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah.
So to now be doing that is mental, and all the people that you say, I get a proper job, which used to blow my mind. So this is a bit deeper, this question, but do you feel like part of what you're doing in the cage and pursuing this journey, do you feel like it's a search for significance as well? To be accepted in that?
I don't know, now I feel I owe it to myself, because I was on such a good journey and such a good run when I was a bit younger and turning pro and everything, and then let other people get in my head, and for 5 whole years I done literally nothing. I got so out of shape, didn't go to the gym, Like, literally didn't do nothing, didn't train, didn't do MMA, didn't do nothing. Like, I'd totally quit fighting. So, like, now I'm like, I owe it to myself to, like, make back all this time that I wasted and catch up. I watch people who were below me in terms of, like, level when I was fighting, and now they're so far on. I'm like, where could I have been? Like, I've wasted so long, and I owe it to everybody who put time into us and had faith in us and everything. And now I'm just like, it's not just about, like, me on this journey, it's about everybody, and, like, proving to all these people who said I couldn't do it. I've, like, even when I'm backstage in the change room, like, warming up for fights, like, I just think of these things that people said to us, and, you know, and I'm like, that's the reason I'm doing it. Like, I'm doing it to just, for all them people to just have nothing to say, to be silent, because I'm going in there and just proving to everybody just what I am capable of.
Best feeling in the world, that is. But you know what's meant as well? The way I would try and look at that is, all them people who dragged you down actually helped you.
Oh, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? For someone listening or watching, Kennedy, right, how do you change your mindset from being in that kind of negative place where you've... Because effectively, it's not even you. You're not training. You're getting out of shape. You're probably eating shite.
Yeah.
You're just doing whatever. That's so far from what you actually are about.
Yeah.
And you're clearly proving that now on your journey. But how do you change that mindset? Like, how do you get out of that? Because there could be people in relationships who are, like, gone through this. There could be people in just bad scenarios, shit jobs, whatever it is. How do you get round to that?
It took us a long time, but I think once I finally realised, like, just my life was going nowhere, like, the people that were around us were bad for us. It took us a long time to realise, but once I finally did realise, I got rid of them people. And, like, I just started doing what made me happy again. And at first, I came back to MMA and it was just for a hobby. I wasn't going to compete. I just told my dad I was coming back. I'd said possibly fight on some local, you know, like low-level local shows. I'd have started training and stuff again, and, like, honest, like, I can't even explain. I went training, went wrestling, done one of my dad's classes, done MMA, and, like, I went home that night and I just walked through the door and I just started crying my eyes out. Just crying, because I was like, why for 5 years have I just let, like, other things just take this away from us? It's the only thing that makes us happy. Training, like, fighting, it's the only thing that makes us happy in life. And then to think, like, I didn't do it for 5 whole years, and when I went back to, like, one class, it was as if, like, I just got myself back. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, the feeling after, I was absolutely buzzing. And then, like, yeah, so just do what makes you happy. Get rid of all the negative stuff and just focus on what makes you happy. Don't think about anybody else. And then once you're happy, everything else around you just works. Like, you just start getting better and better. Like, I got myself happy, and then now I'm like, look where I am in the space of, like, a year. It's crazy.
Is that all happened in a year?
Literally, yeah. Like, I'd come back to MMA, and within a month I was signed to Cage Warriors, fighting on the Newcastle card. Like, and then I had the fight in the November, and then, yeah, here we are now.
Mental.
I know, it's crazy.
How does it happen? Take us through it. How do you get signed to Cage Warriors?
So obviously they've got to contact you, or, like, you can try and put a word into them. So
did they see you on something first, or is it based off record?
Yeah, so, like, obviously I think I was 3-0 at the time, but I'd had 5 years out, and then I basically put a post on telling everyone that I was coming back to MMA. Like, I was just happy that I was back training and everything. And then Cage Warriors announced that they were coming back to Newcastle. I think they hadn't been for something like 9 years. And it was, like, kind of like, then MMA reporters were putting on, like, top picks for who to fight on Cage Warriors, and they were all putting me. And I was thinking, like, I haven't fought in 5 years. Like, I've only decided to come back last week. Like, but it was mad that I was still on everyone's tongue. Like, everyone was still thinking about, like, me being on that card. And then everyone was, like, tagging us in Cage Warriors posts and stuff. So my dad, obviously with not having a manager, because I've been retired for 5 years, just sent Cage Warriors a message and just said, like, basically, Kennedy's come back to MMA, if you'd like to have her on the show, blah, blah, blah. They got back in contact saying, like, they didn't just want to have us on the show, they wanted to sign us to a contract. So within the space of, like, a month, it just went from, like, not even fighting, nothing, not even training, to fully back to fighting on Cage Warriors, signed. Yeah. It was all a madness.
I can't believe how it's happening such a short... Like, you're doing what people dream of doing, and you've did it. I know you've had the 5 years out, and obviously you've had years of actually scrapping, but to make that transition in such a quick space of time, I've got to ask you, because I feel like I understand how much graft you put into this, but I feel like a lot of people think you're Ian Freeman's daughter, and that's why you're where you are.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, just by Ian Freeman being your dad, has that helped or hindered you?
This is a question that, or, like, I always get, or, like, people always talk about it. Like, it's got its positives and it's got its negatives. Like, the positive is, like, my dad's been there and he's done everything that I want to do. So if I get to as far as what he did, I'll be absolutely over the moon. Like, anything I need help with, any questions, any this, like, any advice, he's taught us everything he knows in martial arts. Like, that's all the positives. Like, and yeah, I probably do get some opportunities more because of who my dad is. But then, like, I think people forget that, like, he doesn't get in there and fight for us. He doesn't do all the graft for us. Like, I might get these opportunities, but I've still got to then put on the performances, train, make weight, you know, beat these girls who they put in front of us. Like, I don't just get, like, hand-picked fights. Like,
Yeah,
but,
of course.
yeah, everyone thinks, oh, she's only getting there because of who her dad is. She's only done this because of who her dad is. Like, my dad's not the one getting in there and, like, fighting these girls. Like, I'm the one doing it. So it does annoy us sometimes and, like, gets on my nerves because, like, everyone kind of thinks that, like, I've only got to where I am because of my dad. Yes, it's helped, but I think they need to realise, like, I'm the one doing all the hard work. Like, I am the one getting in there and doing it. And, like, it's not just as easy as, like, oh, you've getting that opportunity, like, you're going to win. Like, I've still got to get in there, and
Yeah,
I've been beat. Like, I've been beat, like, multiple times over the years. Like, but, yeah, so positives and negatives, I suppose.
What goes through your mind, Kennedy, when you've gone into the cage?
Phew.
I know you said all them things, like all the fuel and stuff you were
Yeah,
using,
yeah.
but, like, do you get scared before you have a scrap?
Terrified.
Do you?
Like, absolutely terrified. Like, I think I've learned to control my emotions more now. Like, my last 2 fights back have been, like, I've actually really enjoyed them. And that was part of the reason why I did quit years ago, because, like, I've said this before, like, the pre-fight nerves and, like, the weeks leading up to the fight, and then the changing rooms and the walkout and the fight, I didn't enjoy any of it. I enjoyed the winning, but I didn't enjoy anything leading up to it. And it, like, got to the point where, like, I was physically and emotionally, like, drained off it. Like, I didn't enjoy any of it, but I would love the winning. And, like, the feeling of that, and, like, everyone coming up to us after the fight, and, like, the you know, the crowd going mental when I won. Like, I loved that, but I didn't like any of the other parts of it. But, like, now I've learned to, like, control them emotions. I'm a bit older. I know that, like, I need to go through them to get to where I want to be in life. Like, now I've actually started to enjoy fighting. But, like, even still, when I'm in that change room or stood behind that curtain, if someone said to me, like, look, there's a fire exit, do you want to just go out of it and, like, nobody will ever know, I'd be like, right, see you later. Like, I would just literally just nick off out the fire exit and just go. But once I'm in the cage and, like, the fight's happening, I love it. Like, I absolutely love it.
I think what that could be is, I think that could be a bit of, when you used to feel that way, like an emotional wreck, it could be a bit of self-belief, like
Yeah.
lacking a bit of self-belief,
Definitely.
because if you know you're going in there and you're not, because especially now with where you're at in your career, you know your talent, you know what you're capable of. Like, like, really, why can't you beat anyone?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, really,
yeah,
like, I'm
no.
not trying to blow smoke. Like,
Yeah,
why,
yeah.
really, there should be no other woman in that ring who should be able to do you. Really. So I guess everyone's got different skill sets and stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like a cocktail on the night. Anything could happen, but ultimately, the feeling of feeling drained and stuff probably comes from what's the result going to be.
Yeah.
Because you've just said that yourself that winning was where you felt mint again.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you only felt mint because you won.
Oh, definitely.
What does it feel like when you lose?
Oh, it's awful, you know.
Do you want to quit the sport and that? Like, how bad does it get for you?
No, because for me, it actually does the opposite. Like, if I lost a fight, like, and someone said to me, right, tomorrow night, you're going to fight the same girl again. Like, literally, tomorrow night, I'd be like, perfect. Because, like, that's what I wanted. I don't want to be on a loss. Like, I want to be on that winning feeling. So, like, the worst bit's, like, the unknown bit of, like, how good is she? Just, like, the whole experience of doing it. So, because I've just done it the night before, the next day, I wouldn't be bothered. I'd just jump back in, fight her again, and change whatever I needed to change. It's not the
Yeah.
loss that I'm like, that's the bad bit. Like, I've been beat, and especially as I've getting older, I used to hate getting beat when I was younger, but, like, I've been beat a few times, like, as I was older, not in pro MMA, but, like, other things, like boxing and Thai boxing and stuff. Like, I've had a good fight and been beaten, being like, well, it was still a good fight, so I'm not, like, too fussed. Like, I'm not bothered. It's just, like, I don't know, like, it's just, I think it's because I put so much work into it. Like, it's months and months of build-up. Like, it consumes my life. I train, like, twice a day, every day, sometimes, like, up to 4 or 5 hours a day. Like, I don't see my friends and family. Like, I'm on a mad, strict diet. Can't go out partying, doing whatever. Like, it just, that is my life. Fight camp is my life. And then to think, like, all of that effort and all the hard work can be, like, you can either be on a massive high, winning and everything, or it's like, oh, back to the drawing board again. But you've got to wait another however many months and go through it all again just to get that feeling. I think that's the bit of the nervous part I get beforehand.
I know it's your mission to get where you want to be, but do you ever regret making sacrifices? Do you ever feel like, I wish I was just partying with the girls or doing this or or does that not cross your mind?
If you'd asked us that question before my 5-year break, I'd have been like, yeah, I regret, like, I miss, like, the partying and this and that and, like, me growing up stage. But now, after that, I'm like, I don't regret any of it. Like, as I look at people who I used to go to school with or people my age or whatever, and they're just doing the same thing. Like, since they've left school, they do the same thing. They work all week and drink on a weekend, and I'm like, it's madness that that's what is the normal life. Like, to me, like, not saying fighting or whatever, but, like, doing something to try and excel yourself, get better, have a better life yourself, that's normal to me. But for, like, most people, it's just drinking and partying and, like, living for the weekend. So,
I think
like,
most people are like that, though, and that's the thing. Like, it's,
though.
I don't think, like, if they're happy with that, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Oh, definitely not.
But I know what you mean. When you want more, you've got to make the sacrifice. Like, some of the things I haven't been able to do over the last 6 years is been mental, but then some of the things I've been able to do,
It's
I
crazy.
couldn't have done without that type of stuff. Like, I always remember when I did the Misfits boxing.
Yeah.
I remember doing the filming for the KSI fight, and I remember walking out the ring at Wembley with them, and I remember the feeling, thinking, all the people, all the lads, all the video, all the people who they would have killed to be where I am now. And the feeling was just unbelievable. The problem that come with that is, when I was driving home from London, I said to my mate at the time who was in the car, we were driving back and he was driving, and I was like, mate, do you know what it is? I genuinely feel a bit down now. And he was like, what do you mean? I went, I don't know what to do, because I feel like, even filming Mayweather, for instance, ringside for Mayweather, and I was like, what else can I do now? Like, no other boxer in the world is going to make us feel this way, so what's the point? So I had to kind of reset my goals and shake myself a bit and think, you're doing something all right, mate, like, you need to just calm yourself down here. Do you ever feel like that? Like, when you come off a win, do you ever feel like, I suppose a bit different with you because there's more progression to be had, but do you ever feel like a massive adrenaline dump when the high goes? If you don't know by now, I run a business called The Content PT. I create content for influencers, PTs, online coaches and fitness brands all around the world. So if you are someone who's in need for sexy content for your social media, or you really want to maintain a competitive edge in your industry, drop me a DM on Instagram.
Yeah, honestly, like, when you were saying that there, I get exactly the same thing. Like, I know exactly where you're coming from. Like, you're on such a high on the night of your fight, and then it just goes, like, higher and higher and higher, and then you win. And, like, it's just crazy. But, like, for the next couple of days, like, I almost get, like, I don't want to say it because it sounds, like, a bit pathetic, but, like, a bit depressed.
Aye.
Like, well, a lot of my friends and my family around us know that I get like that, and, like, nothing else at all that has ever made us feel depressed. I don't get depression. I'm a happy person. So it's mad that, like, I've just won the most important fight of my life, what I've had so to date, and then for the next couple of days I feel dead down. But it's like, because it's such a build up, like, for the weeks and weeks and months leading up to this fight, and I have the fight, and even though it's the result that I wanted, for the next couple of days I'm like, what do I do?
And it's everything that you want, so the wins, it's
crazy. And, like, I'm just like a lot of my friends, this is how good of, like, a friendship group I've got, though. Like, my friends will take time off work. A couple of my friends will, like, take time off work just to, like, so that the day after the fight I'm not just sat by myself.
That's
for the next
amazing,
couple of days, like, I'll go out with my friends, like my little cousin, a couple of my friends, like I go out with them, like, do different things every day, because they don't let us sit in the house, because they're like, she's been in camp for this long, she's had a fight, we need to, like, go out and do this, we'll go out and do shopping, we'll go out and get food and whatever, and they just keep us occupied. Like, I'm so lucky I've got friends like that. Like, instead of being like, do you want to go out on, like, the session and, like, we'll just go on, like, a 3-day bender, like, my mates take time off work, like, to help us from feeling,
which is
like,
normally
down.
Well, the session, that's for them, not for you. So the fact that they're taking time off work just to make sure you're all right now, it's unbelievable. That. Do you, because obviously you're full of tattoos and all that, do you, because you're very recognisable as well, like, do you get recognised a lot?
Since fighting on Cage Warriors, I've definitely get recognised a bit more. Like, my friends think it's, like, hilarious, like, when I get asked for photos and stuff like that. Like, obviously it's mainly just in this area and whatever. But yeah, since fighting on Cage Warriors, I've definitely getting recognised more than beforehand. But I'm like a bit of an awkward person, me. So, like, people ask us for pictures, and I'm like, I don't know where to put myself. I'm a little bit, like, awkward, but I'm getting used to it a bit more now.
Do you like it though? Do you like the, because people just appreciate what you're doing?
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, like, yeah, like I might get awkward and whatever, and like my friends laugh and make jokes out of it and whatever, like, but just in like a fun way, do you know what I mean? But yeah, it's nice, and especially like young kids, when young kids come up to us and they know who I am and whatever, and they ask for photos, I'm like, this is crazy, like what the hell, like little young kids know who I am and want photos with us and stuff, so stuff like that, yeah, it is nice because people are just appreciating like the hard work that I've put into the sport.
It's a mad feeling, right? It's, you know, so here's a crazy one for you. So obviously been doing this podcast for about a year, right? It's only small. But I've had some mental guests on. Like I've been all over the place doing them, and I absolutely love them. I love doing this podcast more than my own business, right? So I was going to, I mean, this has happened quite a bit, but on one particular occasion, I was going to Greece a few weeks ago, and I'd just done the Wayne Lineker podcast. I did Wayne Lineker in Old Beach. And that was the part 2. So obviously, when you're doing a podcast, because it's long form content, you get a lot of people who like they think they know you because they buy into you.
Yeah.
So they're like, they see me for an hour every week, and they're like, actually, I know him because I know he gans on, I know he is, and I know what type of questions. Yeah. So anyway, I went into Zara, I was buying a couple of bits, and I comes out, and 3 people in that trip wanted photos, and I genuinely, to this day, thought they were all taking the piss. I was like, "There's
you're getting pranked."
I literally thought like Ant and Decker gonna come around the corner or something. Like I thought it was on, because I was thinking, but then I started to realise it happened the other day outside of Greg's. Someone messaged me saying you're getting a sausage roll, right? And I thought, do you know what? Like, and they've all said lovely things. Saw your podcast with this person, so, what are they like? What are they like? And I think like it's nice to just understand that there is people who you don't know appreciate what you do. So like with you, because you're putting yourself through absolute grueling fight camps and doing what you do and then getting the win as well, people are like, it's almost like they wouldn't do it themselves. That's why they appreciate, because I've noticed that as well. Like when I started a podcast, I was like, people didn't realise that you've got video guys, you've got studios to rent, you've got equipment, you've got everything. I lose a lot of money by doing podcasts because I don't make as money.
Yeah.
So I lose a lot of money, but what I get out of it, how it rewards us, is like when you convey that to people who watch, it's like fucking hell, it's a mint feeling. Do people for you try and test you in public? Like, has it ever happened where people, so you're a cage fighter, are you? You know what I mean? Like,
Do you know what it is? I haven't had that. Like, I've never had that, and I think it's because a lot of people who do see like interviews and see us on social media, that probably just know I'm like outside the cage, I'm just dead quiet person, like, and I'm just dead chill. I don't really have an ego. I don't have like, I don't like show off or anything. So I think because of that, I haven't had it yet. It might happen in the future. Do you know what I mean? The bigger like the fights get and the bigger the profile gets, I might have it, but like I'm quite lucky, like I haven't had that yet.
I found that it's quite a common trick, because I've had bare knuckle fighters on, I've had cage fighters on, I've had different types of combat sport artists on, if you like, and every one of them have been just so chilled. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I guess that kind of comes with the discipline part of it, doesn't it? Has your personality changed the more you've got into it, in terms of, have you become more chilled? Or are you always just been that way?
I think I've always just been that way. Like a lot of people who do meet us, who only see the fighting side of things, like when they meet us, they're like, you're just dead normal. You're like, you're quite good. You're dead girly. You're just like, they get a bit of a shock. They're like, you're really nice, and I'm like, yeah, thanks. I know, like I am just a nice person, but I think when people just see the fighting side of things, like the braided hair and like the fact that I do like a good scrap, like I think people just think I'm gonna be this horrible, stuck up, like angry person. But then it's also the opposite way around. The people who only know us outside the cage, when they see us fight, they're like, what? Like, that's not you. And I'm like, that's like, it's like 2 totally different people. Like, it is like, in the cage, I love a fight. Like, I love violence. Then outside the cage, I'm just dead chilled, just dead calm. It's just 2 totally different people.
Have you met many people in the fight game that surprised you, that weren't how you thought they'd be? Or out like that? Like, does that happen much, or is everyone how you kind of expect?
Yeah, like, most people are, like, it's quite a welcoming, like, community. Like, I train at quite a few gyms, because, like, I used to just train under my dad, but now he's, like, he works full-time and whatever, so I have to go to a couple of different gyms, and, like, it made us realise just how, like, nice and helpful everyone really is, because I've only really trained at my gym, fought out of my gym, do you know what I mean? Like, other people have come to my gym, but now that I've got to go to other people's gyms and, like, just sort of fit in where I can, I've been like welcomed so well off everybody. Like, everyone tries to help us, everyone's giving us advice, teaching us new things, and like a lot of fighters, although everyone sees us in the cage and might think like, Jesus, I wouldn't like to meet them on the street, like, what, 9 times out of 10 everyone's just a nice person, like, and couldn't help you any more than if they tried.
Does it feel daunting at all when you're going into these other gyms or not?
Oh.
Because of your reputation now as well. Do you feel like people are like, oh, do you know what I mean? Like you've almost got to always be at your best.
Yeah, like, I think the worst thing for me was because I'd had 5 years off, then came back. Like, I've trained since I was a kid, but then I had 5 years off, and my first session back, like, I couldn't remember how to do anything. Couldn't remember where to put my feet. I was all over the place. Like, I've got a video of when I first started back, and I watch it now, and I'm like, wow. Like, so then have to go start new gyms, but everyone at these gyms still knew who I was because they were just local gyms. I was like, oh my God, everyone's going to be like, how the hell is she 3, you know? How's she a professional fighter? She can't even wrestle. She can't do this. Her striking's terrible. So that was like the nervous bit. But I think now that I'm back into the swing of things, like it's all right. I'm a bit more relaxed. But at first I was like, people are going to be like, how's she 3 when she can't even do this? She can't do that. But nobody was like that. It was just me being in my own head.
But I think MMA in itself is quite humbling anyway, isn't it? So I think
definitely.
because it's quite open to anybody, just you could literally have never done anything in your life and you can go down to your local MMA gym and they're welcoming you. And it's not like you're going to feel like, you don't, like, I've been in and around different gyms and I know what it's like. I've never felt like, oh, I can't do that. I can't get, even if I've no clue what I'm doing. It's like, no, but they've got the patience. That's the whole part of it. Like, you cannot coach someone and not really have the patience because not everyone's going to have the same skill level, of course. So it's kind of like, I had a lad on who was on the pod, Cal, Eleanor.
Yeah.
And we were talking, do you know Cal?
Yeah, I know Cal.
And we were talking about this and we were talking about like how, because I asked him the same question. I was like, do people challenge you on the streets and that? And he was like, well, what people didn't realise is no one's ever going to really win against a trained fighter.
Yeah.
So that's why what you'll find is a lot of trained fighters are quite chill because they know in the red what they can do. You could be lying on your back and do someone in. So it's like, it's quite powerful to know that. With that being said, do you feel a sense of like, does your ego get inflated? Knowing that if you're in a scenario, there's a good chance that you can D them in.
It's a nice feeling. It is a nice feeling. Like knowing that, like, I'd like to say like 99% of normal women wouldn't stand a chance because against like a pro MMA fighter. So it is a nice feeling. But like I don't really have an ego about it because I'm like, I'm trained to do it. So it's not like, I wouldn't want to fight somebody on the street, beat them up and be like, haha. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, to me, I haven't really gained anything. Like, it's nice to know if anybody ever started, like, they'd probably just look at us and just not think they were going to get what they were going to get. Do you know what I mean? Like, on a normal day, someone would look at us and probably just think I'm just a normal girl. Like, there's nothing going to happen. But in my head, I know that, like, if it does kick off, you're probably just going to end up unconscious on the floor.
Because I seen a video, you know that Sean Strickland?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I seen a video of him beating this YouTuber up.
Yeah.
And they did some kind of little scrap, and I thought, what kind of divvy does that?
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've never met the bloke. He could be nice. But when I saw that in the cage, I was like, why would someone at that level just tee off on someone who's got any experience? Like, what's that about?
Do you know, like...
Did you see the video I'm
I
talking about?
seen the video. I did see it. Like, I don't know what happened before the video. Like, I don't know what the reason for it was. I don't know, he was just teaching them a lesson. Like, some people might enjoy doing that, do you know what I mean? Like, showing people that, like, if you're going to come into my gym, this is what you're going to get. I don't know. Like, but then I get it, like, the other way around. And you know what I tend to get? Like, most is, like, the big guys. The big guys, like, in sparring, like maybe like the juice heads or, like, the ones who've got a bit of a name for themselves around the local area. Like, they come to the gym and, like, I don't know, they might obviously look at us and just think, oh, she's just a small girl, like, what's she going to do? And we'll start sparring and, like, they always go stupidly hard. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. Like, and, like, you know, you'll carry on trying to go light with them and they just still try and knock your head off. And then that's when I just see red and I'm just like,
These are the men you're talking about?
Oh, I've had it a few times. But you know what's even more funnier? Like, my dad will just stand there and I can just see him watching and it's just as if, like, he's just waiting and waiting. Then he just sees us lose my temper and then I just end up, like...
Doing the men.
Yeah, basically.
I
like,
think
without sounding big-headed, yeah.
I know, but I think a lot of men are probably thinking, and I know it's wrong to think that, they think I'm not getting beat by a bird. That's probably what they're thinking, like, realistically. Because it must knack a bloke's ego, that.
Oh,
it must,
yeah,
absolutely.
I can imagine.
It's kind of funny, like, innit? But I suppose that's, I don't know. What do you think about sort of men and women fighting and stuff?
What, like a proper fight or just sparring or...
just sparring. Do you think
sparring,
it's good? Do you think it's good for you to fight
if I didn't spar men, I wouldn't really have any sparring partners. Like, and I've probably just got to give credit to the lads who I do spar with because they don't take the piss or anything, but they don't go easy neither because people are like, yeah, but they're just going to go easy on you. And I'm like, but then that's doing nothing for me. Like, what is the point in me going to the gym and all the lads just going easy on us? Like, I've got a good set of lads who I do my rounds with all the time. I've got a couple of female sparring partners, but they're very hard to find. And a lot of the girls think it's like competitions, you know what I mean? So I've got a couple of girls that I spar, but 90% of my sparring partners are lads. So if we didn't do like male-female sparring, like I wouldn't be ready for fights.
Do you think it should, because obviously, especially like MMA, it's massively male-dominated.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it should be more balanced? Do you think there should be more women like yourself going for it?
I don't know, because like obviously it is a male dominant sport, like, because it's fighting, like, and I totally get that, like, not your average female wants to get in there and have a fight. Like, it is totally different, and you either like it or you don't. So I just think it's just important that the ones who do go into that path of fighting, like, try and help each other out. Like, if there's another female on your doorstep, like, go spar them. Do you know what I mean? Go help them.
Yeah, exactly.
Build a girl group. Like I spar Katrina Fisher from TFT, and like we're slowly building. Like, there's a few girls there now, and we're slowly building the team. But then I also got like Roger Roughhouse, which is like my main gym, and like I just spar all lads.
Yeah.
So it's just, if there are girls getting into it, help each other out. You know, build a little squad in your area. Like, it doesn't have to be competition. You can fight girls from out the area, fight girls from like wherever, different countries, and just help each other grow. And then for the lads, if there is a girl in your gym, like, you know, help push them, make them feel involved. Like, them lads probably just see me as one of the lads. Like, I'm just one of the lads in the gym. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't like treat us any different to how they treat each other. And like, I'm lucky for that, because I wouldn't want to be like, oh, they're also all going easy on us, because I think I was something that I wasn't. Like, if I go in there and the punch us all over and I go home, I'm like, well, that was great. It was a great session.
Aye, because you can grow from that, can you?
Oh, 100%. Like, they show me where my flaws are. Like, if they were just letting us do everything I wanted to do and just not giving us anything hard sparring, I would never know where I'm going wrong and the things I'm doing. Like, there's times I've left sparring and I thought I've done absolutely terrible there, but this is what I need to work on. So,
Are you a big fan of the sport? As in, do you watch it as well? Because I've met a load of athletes, you know, who don't really watch the sport.
nah,
Do you not?
I don't watch it, you know. Like, people always talk to us about fights and stuff, and I'm like, didn't watch it, mate. Like, I just think there's that many UFCs on and stuff now. Like, it's so hard to keep up. Like, it is hard to keep up. If there's like a big event on, or like a fighter that I like watching, I'll watch it. But I also like me sleep. So I sleep, and I sleep through these UFC events. Like, and then, you know, the next day when I go on Facebook or Instagram and I see the result, I'm like, oh. Like, then I'm like, I don't feel the need to watch it. Like,
I suppose it's your job and all, innit? Like, it's your job.
I like, you train day in, day out, and then sitting and watching fights, like, on a night time or on a weekend, like, it's a lot. Do you know what I prefer? Going to like local shows and watching all like the up and coming and like the amateurs and like the kids and like all the local lads. I love that.
My little brother had his first boxing match the other night, and it was like a white collar thing.
Yeah.
And it was mint because he was nervous as hell for it and that. Well, and to be fair, he was actually all right towards the last like week or something, but he'd never really fought before in his life. And I went down to obviously watch him and all that, and he got the win. I was absolutely buzzing for him. Do you know what? Like, white collar stuff, it's just a pure tear up. Like, out could go on. It's good crack. Like, a lot of people didn't realise. They think, well, no, it's not the big name, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
But them, like you just said there, the local shows, and like even white collar and that, you look at that and you think, these are lads who've just been plucked off the street and gone to gym for 8 weeks and just had a bit of a gun. And it's respect, like, for someone like that.
But it's the atmosphere for me. Like, you go, like, obviously, I promote shows, like, me and my dad, we've got Machine MMA events, we'll hold them at the Fed. Like, I love it. Like, if I was to retire from fighting, I would still run shows, because I just love it. Like you see these people who've, like, probably not done anything before, could be their first fight, second fight. They're just, like, they've got a massive crowd behind them. Everyone's having a drink. Everyone's, like, cheering on. The atmosphere is, like, unmatched. And it's just a fantastic night. And then you go to events like, I've been to UFC London a couple of times now with my dad, and until like the co-main or the main event, the atmosphere is like non-existent. You just sat there and the fighters are walking out and nobody's cheering, and like the fights are going on and everyone's like looking around, and like it's crazy. Like, you go from these small shows where the atmosphere is like unbelievable to then, unless you're co-main or main event on the UFC, like it's back to just like you're nobody pretty much on the card.
Who do you like in the UFC?
Thug Rose is probably my favourite fighter. Like, yeah, I just think, like, when I watch her fight, like, stylistically, I think, like, I want to be like that. Yeah. Like, I like her style. I just like how humble she is. Like, she's just a normal girl. you know, just dead chill. Like, you see a lot of these females, like, they come out and they're like argy-bargy and they're this and that, and they're trying to be like how the blokes are, and I'm like, just be yourself, like, stop putting an act on. So I like Thug Rose because she just loves to fight and she's just dead chill.
And it's like, it's someone to kind of look up to and think, right, if I kind
Yeah.
of model myself around them, I'm going to be a decent person.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to put on a min show.
Yeah, and she had like her ups and downs when she first started the UFC and stuff, and she wasn't like where she is now, and then she just kind of like just smashed through everybody, and now she's doing like amazing. Her ego, it's just she's never had an ego, like, and she's beat people who've had the ego and this and that, and I'm like, that's just how I want to be.
What about from the men?
From the men, at the minute, yeah, I like Tom Aspinall.
Aye.
I think he's a
character
fantastic
in
fighter.
as well. Like,
Yeah.
he seems like a good fella, like, outside of the gym, and
Yeah,
that, doesn't he?
yeah. Like, I like what he's done for, like, he's kind of got his own gym, like, and he's invited other heavyweights to come train with him and stuff, and I like that. That's what I'm talking about. Like, people need to help people. Like, stop thinking everybody's your enemy and everyone's, like, you know, like, having this ego. Just, he's brought all these people together and all these heavyweights, and now they're training, and he's got, like, an elite team, and, like, look where he's got. Like, I really like watching Leon Edwards. Like, I think, like, I feel like I've got quite a similar style, like a defense.
He's fighting this weekend, isn't he?
Yeah. I watched his fight on UFC London. I was there live for it, and like, against Usman, it was like a mad fight, that. And I think it's a similar style to me, striker, just defensive wrestling. So like when I watch him, like, and how much he's advanced, like, I like watching him as well.
I think because I know that there's a lot of like red tape and that, and then politics in MMA and different gyms and fighters going to different gyms and all that type of stuff. And I always say this, like, I say this in business and all, like, there's enough to go around for everyone.
100%.
Like, I didn't understand why there's like certain, like, didn't go to that gym, because I see it in boxing, I see it in all different types of like environments, but certainly in business is always the case. Onto the business side of things, how much of what you do you think about marketing, how you look, how you present yourself, what type of content you're putting out? Like, how much of that do you think about? Do you think about attracting brands? Do you think that's important for fighters? Like, obviously you've got the likes of Aspinall, who's obviously with Jim King and all the rest of it. How much of you looks at brands and stuff?
At the minute, probably is like, just whatever comes to me, comes to me. I try and keep active on my Instagram. I try to keep busy, but that's mainly just for like the people who follow us. Do you know, just to like let them know what I'm doing, and like outside the cage as much as in the cage. At the minute, just whatever comes to me, comes to me. I don't try and post stuff on purpose for this or for that. But like, yeah, like, hopefully once I get to the bigger stages, stuff like them big deals will come in.
I'm sure they will, like.
At the minute, just whatever comes, and I just post on social media at the minute. It's more for just the people to like see what I'm like outside the cage, like.
Show your personality.
Yeah, just on a normal day-to-day, what I do, like holidays, this and that, time with family, just to show people what my life's about.
And that's why I think these podcasts are mint.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, for getting that across, because someone can sit down for an hour, or however long this is, and just watch it and be like, aye, she's sounder, or and they can make their own assumption.
Yeah,
and that's what I love, because people get to see that. Whereas, where else do you go to watch one of your favourite fighters talk? It doesn't really happen. And again, I've said it on loads of podcasts, my phone's not here. We're just having a crack. It doesn't happen in real life.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's like? You know,
totally
you're going out,
it,
you could be going for food, you could be going out with your mates, you're still on your phone, which is
all
mental.
the time.
So for me, I feel like I need podcasts to have these things, because, like, again, I think it's really important that people have engaging conversations with people. I think it's good for your mind, stimulates you. Certainly does for me. With, obviously, everything being said, how much of your journey or your pursuit in the MMA world do you think about money?
Yeah, obviously, money's not the goal. It is and it isn't. You can't survive without it. And like the amount of time and effort I put into fighting, I've got to have that money. Like, I've got to have money in return, because otherwise it's not achievable. Like, I train that much and I put that much money into it. Like, I've got to get it back. And obviously you're doing it for your future. You know, like, once you finish fighting, if you've spent all these years getting to that point, and once you retire, you've got to have something to fall back on. You can't just be like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go work in Tesco now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to...
I could imagine you doing that, like.
Just stacking the shelves.
Stacking shelves and all that.
Shadowboxing and stuff, like.
I'd
be better off being security.
Is the money good at Cage Warriors?
Nah.
You didn't have to tell us what you meant, but, like, is
No,
it good?
it's not. And I totally understand why. If they were putting all this money out into fighters, like, at my level, I wouldn't really be making anything. Like... But I think like, do you know how many people think I'm like a millionaire? Like that I'm loaded. I get these comments all the time. It must be nice, this and that. Like because they've seen us fight on telly twice. I'm like, well, the first one I wasn't even on the main card. Like the last one I was on the main card, so I was like a bit higher up. But like, if they knew what I got paid for a fight, and then divide that by how many months I've been training and how many days and all my expenses, like I'm minus a fortune.
Aye.
But people just think because I'm like fighting on telly or like, you know, the production's getting a bit bigger that I'm absolutely loaded. But when really someone who has a normal job, like working a monthly wage, will make way more than me. But I think because I don't like go out partying or whatever and I save me money and like go on like holidays and this and that, people just think I'm absolutely minted. But until you get to even like low level UFC is not great. Till you get like a bit of a somebody on the UFC, then you're making a comfortable living. But until then, nah, you're not.
So the conversations that you've been having with certain people and stuff, looking at your future, have you seen any money? Like, have you seen potentials, what you'd make and stuff? Does that excite you or not?
Yeah, massively. Because for me, at the minute, I feel like I still can't say that fighting's my career, because it's not. What I get paid is not enough to live off. Like, not at all. Like, and especially, like I say, like after a fight, I like to go on a holiday or whatever and involve myself. Like, I spend all the money I've just made on the fight and some, like just in that one holiday. So it's like, for me, when I'm getting these other contracts in, or like offers, shall I say, and I'm like seeing the numbers, I'm like, oh, it's nearly, you know, like a full-time job's wage. Like, that's much better, or like that's enough to live off of, and I can quit all my other little jobs that I do to make money, and I'll actually class myself as like a professional fighter as being my career. And then if that's just the beginning and I start winning and I do better, like the money's actually going to be like livable, and I will start to be able to make some money.
I reckon you can see the path, and I reckon you know how much you're going to make and the offers, and you're not telling us. That's what I reckon, if I'm honest. That's what I'm picking up here. Like,
yeah, I'd like.
Obviously, you didn't have to talk
No,
about.
like.
But do you know that there's a certain line? If you do this, this, and this, you're gonna get that or not?
Well, I think as well, like, I've still got to win the fights.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I can't just like, because I go to the UFC and if I start getting beat, then I'm just gonna get cut. But I think like. This is me of like actually seeing a bit of like confidence in myself. I think if I get the UFC and I do well, then I should start to make some good money. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm hoping like other things outside of the UFC, because I don't just want to make money off getting punched in the face all the time. Like that, I want to kind of like you say, build up some stuff, get some good deals and stuff. Where like, if anything does happen and I don't, you know, I stop fighting or whatever, I have got other things to fall back on. Like, so.
Do you want a family in that?
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something you want to do.
Yeah,
Aye.
like I'm massive on that. Like I want a family. Like I just want a small family. Don't want a big family. But like, cause I've just had 5 years out and I've only just come back. Now I'm like, when am I gonna fit this in? Cause like I've only just come back and now I'm on this like this run of trying to make it to the top. But I'm like, I am getting on. I'm 28 this year.
Do you think the father of your kids needs to be a fighter?
Nah.
No. Would you rather someone who was into that or not? Because obviously you're I mean, it's mad, because this could just be my thoughts, but if you're seeing someone who's not into it, it's almost like how are they gonna feel around you, knowing that you could chin them anytime? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm getting at?
No, I totally get it. Like, I totally get it.
Or maybe that's what they like.
No, I do
But you know
totally
what I mean?
get it. It's a mad thing. Like, but then again, I have been in a relationship with like a fighter, and like it was the worst thing I've ever done. Like, it turned out the wrong way, where they wanted to stop me from fighting, and because maybe that was a bit of like, well, I don't want her to do really well if I'm not doing as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I was a bit ahead of them.
Competition.
So it was like competition kind of thing, and it's only now that I look at it and I'm like, wow, you've dragged me down because you couldn't get the way I was going. But in my head at the time, I just, like, the way they were making me feel is as if, like, it wasn't a reachable goal. But now I'm like, you only stopped me because I was going to get to where you could never get to. But, see, if you'd asked us that question a few years ago, I'd be like, yeah, it's got to be a fighter. It's got to be someone who understands my life and this and that. But, you know, now that I'm a bit older, as long as they support me and understand that this is my life, it's never going to change now. Like, that is it.
Aye.
It's never going to change. You support me. You back me 100%. In the days that I'm crying after sparring or this or that, or need to go here for training, and but you just support it, then that's all I can ask for, just someone who's supportive.
Because I think a balance, like it's trying to find a balance. Like, for instance, our lass, she doesn't do anything to do with what I do in terms of work, but we work so well because of that. Do you know what I mean? Because she can tell us about her day, I can tell her about mine.
It's totally
like
different.
we can get feedback off each other and all. Like she'll say to me, "Have you not thought about doing this?" That? And I'm like, my mind doesn't even work that way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas if I was with someone who had, I don't know, a content creation business, it could be a little bit competition.
You go to work all day and then you're talking about it all
and then
day.
so you don't have that break, and I think that's really important. That's why I was curious to think, do you need someone to be in the cage where you're like, you know what I mean, to be doing that type of thing? Because it's such a, I mean, it's as primal as you can get, fight. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I feel like, is that something that you'd look for in that? But then I suppose, are you, like I
previously,
say, balance,
like previously, that is what I've looked for, because I've just thought, like, the only person who's going to understand it, or understand, like, why I need to train so much and why I need to eat this certain way is a fighter. But, like, more recently, that's, like, I'm in a relationship and it's not like that. The person, like, they do a bit of training, so that like they train,
so they kind of understand,
but they don't fight. They just do it to keep fit and whatever, and they totally understand like my lifestyle, because they understand the sport, they like the sport, but they're not a fighter. But the supporters, like 100%, like I couldn't ask for anything more, really. So
I think they've got either you're a scrap when you Darryl Freeman, out of the sort of not, you know what I mean? It's not gone well, is it? Like if they try and that's mad that. How do you pitch your life in the next 10 years?
Hopefully, UFC champ. Cage Warriors title first. Get the UFC. Gonna make a good run at that. Have a family at some point in amongst that. I want to get married. And move out the UK. Like,
do you?
As much as I love where I'm from and I love the northeast and stuff, like, there's just like I say, like, everyone's in competition with everyone, like, outside of fighting, and, like, the streets are crazy now. Like, I don't really want to bring a kid up round here. I love the weather. I love hot weather. So, like I go out to Thailand for, like, training camps and stuff, and it's, like, where Thailand is compared to the UK, and, like, do you know, like, everything's so basic out there. They're not as modern as us. Like, life's so cheap, but I love it. I love waking up. Everyone's happy. Everyone, like, everything's just so cheap and cheerful. The sun's beaming every day. I, like, train at a gym over there called Bang Tao. Like, everyone's just so welcoming. Like, the training's, like, elite level and stuff like that. And I just think, like, I come back home and, like, I walk into Asda and I get people just, like, giving us hacky looks because I'm, like, covered in tattoos and this and that. And, like,
isn't that crazy, right? Because, like, I spent time in Bali. You literally need a vest and a pair of flip-flops.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Like, you can scran on literally a $5 a day, if that.
I know.
You can have, and people are just more simple.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They didn't want for out, and I think that's a beautiful way to live. I really do. But I do think it could be done in the UK if the mindset was different, because I feel like a lot of people are, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to pay my mortgage, I've got to do. But really, if you strip it back, half of the shit that you've got, you didn't need anyway. You know what I mean? You didn't need the Range Rover. You didn't need the Rolly. What you doing, what on Sunderland? Do you know what I mean? You don't really need all that. Now, if you want them things, that's fine. If it makes you happy, that's fine. But I think happiness can be found in, and it's getting really deep, this, like, but happiness can be found in just simple things. You know what I mean?
Honestly, 100%, I totally agree.
Have you been to Bali?
I've never been to Bali, no.
Getting to Bali, there's Bali MMA, there's a gym there, right?
Good.
In fact, there's loads in Canggu and that. But the way that people think, like, I met people, right, who literally, they had a laptop and they were making, like, silly money.
Yeah.
But that's where they choose to live.
Yeah.
Cost of living was low out, it was chill, everything was cheap, nice weather all the time. They gone surfing, work 4 hours a day and make literally like 10 times you could in the UK from a laptop. And, like, I'm big on, I don't think it's all about becoming financially free and working from a laptop, but I think more people can do more than what they think they can if they apply themselves to it. But I think a lot of people get accustomed to just, this is what I've got to do. This is the right thing to do in the UK.
Stuck
but you
in
can.
the same routine.
But you can do it. Look at you, for example. Every order's against you gone to the UFC. Really, it is, isn't it? If you think about how many thousands of girls that there is in the UK, yet you're literally chasing that dream down. But you're gone against the grain, but you're doing it. That's why there's only you.
Yeah.
How many people are from the northeast? They're not. So, like, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like whether it is fighting, whether it is business, whether it is, doesn't matter what it is. you can do more than what you think you can. If you're
100%.
willing to make them sacrifices and just keep them goals, like the fact that you're not going out partying and doing this, that and the other, like, I think more people just go for them easy pleasures than realising there's a long-term goal here that can be achieved.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So
it's like a waste, you know, like you say, if people want to do that, then, and they're happy doing it, then I'm happy for them. Like, I never would say, like, oh, you do that and that's wrong, and, like, you're wasting your life. But, like, to me, not a waste of life, but, like, there's so much more in the world than just, like, going to work 9 to 5 and then just going on the drink and feeling ill after for days and then doing it again and again and again. Like the UK is so expensive now to live. It's ridiculous to live. You cannot afford much. Like, you get money in and it's gone out as quick as you get it. Like, I just think it's just the same thing. Like, you go out on a night out now, everyone's fighting and this and that, and I can't be bothered with it. Like, I go to Thailand and like I'm spending £2 on a meal, and it's like one of the best meals I've had. Food's lush. I'm walking down the street saying hi to all the locals. Like, everyone's dead chatty. I'd go train in the morning. I finish. I go to the gym. I sit with a coffee. I go to the beach. I sit with a coffee. I just watch the waves. I just chill, sunbathe for a bit, go back to the gym on a night time, then go out for food with everybody after. And I'm like, what a life this is.
That's what you need,
I absolutely love it. Like, I love it. I've got to, like, I'm going again for my next fight camp for this fight. Like, I go
When's your next fight?
November.
Right.
So I'm going to go do like a month out in Thailand again. Like, it keeps us sane.
Where's your fight at?
Newcastle.
Is it Newcastle again?
Yeah, Virtue.
Mint.
So
I'll
fingers crossed we'll get that title shot.
Fucking hell, is that the goal?
Aye, that's it.
That's mint, that. What do you think of crossover boxing?
You mean like the...
Like, you know, people who from the MMA world, like the Ngannous and all that,
yeah.
and McGregor Mayweathers and stuff like that. What do you think of it? Do you think it's good for the sport, for both sports? Or do you think it kind of tarnishes the sports a bit?
I think when I first seen it, I was like, what? I think it was the McGregor versus Mayweather fight. I was like, what the hell? Like, but do you know, if I was in their shoes, like Ngannou's doing it now, and someone put a piece of paper in front of me and went, this is how much you're going to get paid. You're going to get in a ring and box, which to me, you know, you'll get loads of haters here. To me, it's a lot safer and a lot less harsh on your body than getting submitted, picked up, slammed, elbowed, kneed in the face. Like, so much simpler. And this is what you're going to get paid. And it's loads more than what you're getting paid in the UFC. I'd be like, wouldn't take us a second to sign it. I'd be like, of course.
So would you have a Misfits fight?
100% I would.
Would you?
1,000,000%. Tomorrow.
Would you really?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you not think it would tarnish what you're trying to do, though? Because I feel like there's still... I get what you mean in terms of the money, but I also feel like there's... When I see fighters do it, and I love it, mate. I've actually filmed for some of the Misfits events, but when I see it, sometimes I think, are you losing your integrity a little bit when you go on them platforms?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, you're supposed to be this high-level athlete, and you're now going, like, YouTubers, boxing and stuff. I totally get that side of things, and, like, I would only do it if, for instance, whatever promotion I was in was like, right, you can go do that, but you can come back to us. It's not going to hinder. If, for instance, I was in Cage Warriors and they said, if you go do that, you're not coming back to us, I'd be like, right, doesn't matter. I'd do it maybe when I was retiring. I think a lot of MMA fighters are doing that now. Like, it's towards the end of their career. Like, they've finished with MMA. They're just doing it for a bit of money, and I totally get it. But, like, I think what more annoys me, and this is just me being like I've trained so hard all my life kind of thing, is like, you see some of these like female YouTubers and they're going in there on Misfits and they're having a fight, and it's like absolutely terrible, but they're literally going on as if they're like professional athletes. And the things they're putting on social media and the captions of the things, like how good they think they are, and I'm like, literally get me in there with you and like I will spark you clean out. Like, I would, like, do you know what I mean? But they think they're so above. You know, the ones that just go in there and they have a fight and they just know they're just a YouTuber having a fight. All respect to them, like, for getting in there and having a fight. Like, and if the money's there, go do it. Like,
because that's the thing. Do you know what? One of my mates who was in the UFC, right? We had a conversation before about this. In fact, it was only a few months ago, and we were talking about like it was the Ngannou fight actually, and he changed my mindset by one thing, and he went, but you've got, because I was like, I know, but they're just lads with followings who've went on and they've had one fight and they're getting 45 grand. I know boxers who've boxed since there was 6 and never made that yet.
I know.
So I'm like, oh, well, that's a bit sketchy, that. But then on the same side, he went, but he spent all his time trying to build his following for years. You can't, what has he had to sacrifice to do that? Because a
Yeah.
lot of people think, oh, you've got to follow, but you've getting a following from somewhere. You've still got to credit that person.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like, even if you've been on Love Island, you've
Yeah.
still went through the bullshit of putting yourself on
Yeah.
national TV to make a fool of
Because
yourself.
anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it. So
But people don't.
that's what I'm saying. So really, you can't take it away from the people who have a
And
fight.
if you're getting offered this money
Mm-hmm.
on a piece of paper and says sign that contract, get in there and have a fight for this amount of money, what they're gonna go? No, I cannot, because I'm just an influencer. Like, of course
Yeah.
they're gonna. Like, it's more than what people make in a few years. Like, these people are getting offered money.
If you got a fight with an influencer, for instance, would you feel inclined to go easy on them?
No.
No, you just tap the heads off.
Not at all.
Would you not?
Not at all. If I'm getting in there for a fight, it's for a fight. Like, not
at all.
not at all.
You just gotta
And I'm an
go for
MMA fighter. I'm not a boxer, so I'm an MMA fighter. There's a few of them influencers that I would love to get my hands on. Like,
Oh, I wouldn't.
Like Elle Brooke, honestly.
Would you?
Like, I'd absolutely love it. Like, if I got a phone call right now, I would accept it on this podcast saying, like, yes, I will fight her, like, at any time. I can't stand
Well, let's
her.
see if we can make it happen.
I can't stand her. Honestly, I literally can't
What is it
stand her.
about that you can't stand?
The whole, like, OnlyFans thing, and this, if that's what you want to do, do it. But, like, the videos she puts on, like, I don't really want to say it on the podcast,
no,
but,
I get
like,
it,
you know, all the, like, explicit stuff, but, like, but mixed in with like with boxing and that, and I'm like, you're just totally disrespecting the sport.
Yeah.
Like, there was one video, and I just saw, like, what the hell, man? Like you see, like, I've been grafting all my life to make money, and I'm still making pennies. She's come from the influencer side, and the OnlyFans and whatever she does, and then, like, is now went into boxing, but just trying to mix the two together, and I'm like, whoa, it's totally different. Like, now you're just kind of disrespecting the sport, and the things she puts on, you'd think she was, like, elite level. And I mean, I give her credit for beating Paige Van Zandt. Like, I'm gonna give her that. But I would absolutely love to get my hands on her. Like,
Well, Elle, if you're watching,
yeah, let's get it on. Let's get it.
on.
Let's get it signed.
is there anything that people don't know about the sport of MMA that you think is worth listening to? So, for instance, let's say there's someone who's thinking about getting into it. Is there anything where you could advise them to say, well, there's going to be a lot of this, or, you know, you might have to do this, or is it out you could give just any kind of advice?
With MMA, probably is the only thing is that, like, I think a lot of people quit at the first hurdle. Like, especially the more, like, you know, the jiu-jitsu side of things. Like, the amount of people we've gotten through the gym and they do a class and they're like, nah, that's far too hard. Like, yeah, it's going to be hard. Like, that's like never learning maths in your life and someone handing you a maths paper. You're not going to have a clue how to do it. Like, you've never learned it in your life. Like, just stick at it. Like, people see, might not be me, might be whoever, fighting. Like, wow, I want to do that. That's amazing. They expect to go to the gym and be like that level. It takes time. Like, I was terrible at jiu-jitsu and wrestling for years because, like, I've came from a stand-up background. It's like, I'm professional. I'm still learning. I'm still learning every day. Like, that side of things, just don't give up on it, like, straight away. Like, give it a bit more of a chance. And once you learn and you get a bit better, you'll start to enjoy it.
I think that's the thing. That's mint advice, like, because I feel like a lot of people, what they do is, it's that whole, like, well, I'll sign up for an MMA class when I've lost weight.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
go to the MMA first.
Aye, I'll go do a fitness class once I'm fit.
Like
loads
it's
of people
mental,
do it.
innit?
It's
And I
mad.
feel like, because I've been there before
Yeah.
years ago, I was like that. I was like, I'll go to the gym when I feel a bit better about myself, or I'll do this, I'll do that. And it's like, none of that would have happened without just doing the thing to start with, do you know what I mean? But Kennedy, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome, mate.
Have you enjoyed it?
Oh, I've loved it. Yeah, it's my first one, like, first podcast. I've loved it.
Well, let's try and get you on as many as possible. So if there's any other podcast hosts out there who want to get Kennedy Freeman on, I would definitely get you on because, again, I feel like the more things that you can get on, the more message you can spread.
Yeah.
People need to know the reality of actually getting into MMA, what you can achieve, discipline that you'll get along the way, the things that you might have to sacrifice. 'Cause I feel like a lot of people, like you say, they'll just see you on TV and be like, oh, must be easy, or it's all right for her, or she's a millionaire, but really didn't understand all the struggles and shit you've had to go through. So I appreciate you for coming on, and we'll try and get you on again in the future.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.